Hello, hello. If you don't know who I am, my name is Shook. I make videos for NBA, I make videos for NFL. I have a Discord if that's something you're interested in, where I post premium content for NFL and NBA, every showdown slate, player pools for cash and GPPs, cores for cash and GPPs. I do whole top play section for NFL main slates. I'll have an NFL video up probably tomorrow for the Saturday main slate. So yeah, if that's something you're interested in, I'll have a link to that below. But once again, yeah, if you don't know who I am, my name is Shook. I post all of these videos on a subreddit called DF Sports with one S, so it's just DF Sports. I make updates with all the news that comes out. A lot of people talk some good strategy here and stuff like that. You can ask me questions. I will always respond to you. Stuff like that. If you ever have help like building your lineup, not building your lineup, but like questions on like pivots and stuff like that, 2v2s, etc. I'll always respond to you guys. And then if you ever need to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me through Reddit Messenger, or you can get a hold of me on Twitter at Tory Langley 1992. So let's take a look back at my lineup from tonight. We'll go over some NFL too. NFL had a good night. As you guys know, that's pretty much an everyday thing. But unfortunately, NBA did not go my way today due to random foul trouble once again. So CJ McCollum, I mean, you don't fade CJ McCollum with the whole team to himself at sub 8K. So he was an absolute smash. I told everyone in the Discord I was absolutely in love with Bradley Beal. He went off. Trey Murphy was my favorite value on the slate. He did fine. He went 7x. Najee Marshall was one of my favorite values on the slate. He did subpar. Jonas Valanciunas got into massive foul trouble tonight to bail out the faders, but we'll talk about that in a second. I went to a low on Trey Jones, that didn't work out. I went to a low on Laurie Markkinen, that didn't go out. And 60% of the field somehow faded Daniel Gafford. And he gets into massive foul trouble to bail out the faders. So that was fun. But let me go over the strategy that I had tonight in the Discord. So the core that I had was CJ Jovel, Trey Murphy, and Daniel Gafford. 3 out of 4 there. CJ smash, Trey smash, Jonas Valanciunas over 5x. Daniel Gafford was the only bust. But I told everyone on Patreon and in the Discord that Jonas Valanciunas was not a must tonight. If you were going to fade Jonas Valanciunas, I made sure that everyone had Willie Hernangomez in their lineups. So if you faded Jonas Valanciunas, I talked about this in my public video too. If you watched my video from last night, I told you there are ways for Jonas Valanciunas to fail. If he fails, play Willie Hernangomez. He is going to be the main beneficiary of that. That absolutely worked out in a huge way if you played Hernangomez. I also told people that Walker Kessler was a great pivot off Daniel Gafford. Walker Kessler absolutely broke the slate. So unfortunately, I didn't take my own advice, but I just wanted to point it out there that there were some people that got to those low-owned plays that absolutely broke the slate. Had some people have some big nights in the Discord. Also, what did I want to say? Who's messaging me? What did I want to say here? I want to say something. Oh, that Jeremy Sochan game, I mean, and Keita Bates-Diop just barely playing. I told everyone with Sochan starting, I like Sochan over Keita Bates-Diop, but why are we not playing Keita Bates-Diop? 9 minutes, I mean, I guess when Sochan's playing that well, you don't really need to, but yeah, I eat all the chalk, but there were ways where I told everyone to get different in GPPs, and that helped out a lot for some people. Cash lineup hit ETN, Trevor, Zach Wilson, Zonovan Knight, Jaguars, Jets. The core that I have for cash was ETN, Trevor Lawrence, and Zonovan Knight. Went 2 or 3 there. So we got a really big slate here, guys. I'm not going to go into detail on why I like each player. Unfortunately, that would just take way too long. So We're going to get this over pretty quick here. I'm going to try to keep this video under 20 minutes long. I'm going to try my best. All right, let's do it. All right, so we have the San Antonio Spurs at the Orlando Magic. So good match for both sides. I believe both teams don't really play defense. We'll check in a second, but Orlando's like middle of the pace, middle of the pace and pace, 23rd in pace. Yeah, 23rd in defensive matchup. So it's a good spot here. If Keldon Johnson's in, I'll keep it very, very simple. I want absolutely no parts of the San Antonio Spurs. I think everyone would just be priced appropriately. I don't think pretty much any of them are basically playing enough minutes right now for me to want to roster them on a 14-game slate. So if Keldon's in, this game's a cross-off. If Keldon's out, though, in a good matchup, you can consider Vassell, you can consider Trey Jones. I think they're considered dart throws. Jakob Poeltl has been on a minutes limit, even though we haven't gotten news of that for some reason, but he's been on a limit, so don't go there. Zach Collins a little bit too pricey for me. And then we saw Jeremy Sochan start tonight. He had an absolutely monster game. I want to say he almost put up a triple-double. He went for 23, 9, and 6. Listen, Jeremy Sochan is not that kind of player. Not that kind of player. But if he starts again, I think he's solid. But he's not that kind of player. He's not that kind of player. It's a 14-game slate. I'm sure better value is going to open up. So some interest in Sochan, but I'm sure better value is going to open up. Let's go on to the Orlando side. Really good matchup here for Orlando. The San Antonio Spurs are 8th in pace and last in defensive rating. So another smash spot for Markelle Fultz, who's ready to get absolutely punished. I'm going to fade. He's going to go for 50. But all in all, I think he's a good GPP play. Really good spot here, like it was against Houston. Just the floor is extremely low right now, and I don't really understand it. Usually, we saw last year when he was barely playing over 25 minutes, or under 25 minutes, or yeah, he was only playing around 25 minutes. His floor was extremely high. He was averaging like 6 assists in like 20 minutes. So I don't know what happened, but I do have interest in Fultz for GPPs. We could get Wendell Carter Jr. back. That's just going to take me off everyone else. If he's out, I think you can consider Banchero, but not a priority for me. Not playing huge minutes, but I think the price is appropriate. So that's going to do it for the Orlando game. I'm not going to go over every player. I'm just going to go over the players that I have some interest in. So Philly, 26th in pace. They play good defense. 2nd in defensive rating now. My boys are doing it. So Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, both going to be playing in this game. No leans, really. I don't think any are must for me. You know, Paul George if I had to pick, but I don't think I'm going to be getting to either in a slow-paced game. Two teams that play good defense, so not much stands out to me on the Clippers side. Let's go over Philadelphia now, and not much here as well. Clippers 21st in pace and 4th in defensive rating, so not much. I will say Joel Embiid, I believe, has absolutely destroyed the Clippers in the past. I don't think he barely ever plays them, though. But I think the matchup's fine for him, like individual matchup. Joel Embiid's matchup proof, like he's always in play every slate. The price went down. So I do have some interest in him as a spend up. I think there are better spend ups on this slate, like a Luka, like a Giannis, like a even like a LeBron. Like I think those guys grade out a lot better than Joel Embiid does on this slate, but he's going to be extremely low owned. He has 100 fantasy point upside. We've seen it once. 0.01% chance it happens again, but he has like a 70-point ceiling. Always in play for GPPs. Harden, I think, is priced appropriately, especially in a tough matchup. No, thank you. And then can't really be getting to anyone else on the Sixers side. Minnesota at Boston. So Boston is, I don't know, 15th in pace, and they've been 7th in defensive rating. So we have Cat out, we have Rudy Gobert questionable, we have Kyle Anderson questionable, we have McLaughlin and Prince going to be out. We'll go over it both ways. So if everyone is in, I mean, Not much in a tough matchup. I just burped. I think Rudy Gobert looks really good. Robert Williams has continued to be limited, so I don't expect him to play huge minutes here, but it is a tough individual matchup, but he's going to have minutes on the court without Robert Williams on the other side of him. So I think 7.3K for Rudy Gobert is a bit cheap. So I do like Rudy Gobert at 7.3K. The only issue is I think there are better plays, and I think there is some news in the later game, if I recall correctly, that could open up better spots. So the opportunity cost there might not be worth it, but I think he's going to go extremely low owned. I do like him for GPPs. If Rudy's in, Anthony Edwards at this price tag, if you want to continue to ride the hot streak, be my guest. I don't specifically like this matchup for him, so just a tournament only play. D'Lo at 7.2K, been up and down the past 2 games, but he's going to play huge minutes. I'm fine with it for tournaments. And then probably not going to get to anyone else. I will say Jalen Noel is 4.4K. He'll play mid-20s minutes. I always have interest in Jalen Noel for GPPs just because he's going to shoot the ball a ton while he's out there and he's going to be productive in that second unit. So always do have interest in Noel. And then if Rudy and Slomo are out, then I think Ant would be more in play. Still not a priority, but you guys know what to do. Fire up all the Nas Reed. He would make for, one of the better plays on the slate, even at this price tag. Would absolutely love Nas Reed. And then I'd feel more comfortable about guys like Jalen Noel, Jaden McDaniels, but I'm not going to go to Jaden on a 14-game slate. Just would be more interest for a guy like Jalen Noel. Can we talk about Austin Rivers absolutely smashing 4 games in a row? What is going on here? Did he just turn into like Tony Snell? Like, look at this. Look at this. Did he turn from Tony Snell to LeBron James? What on earth is going on here? I'll continue to fade if he continues to go off. Whatever, man. Minnesota 5th in pace and 12th in defensive rating. So it's a pace up spot here for Boston. We have Marcus Smart questionable. I think Tatum's interesting, right? I think all of the other spend ups are going to get a lot more ownership. Luka, LeBron, Jokic, Giannis. So you have Jason Tatum in a pace up spot here, going unowned, and he has similar upside. Gonna play huge minutes, if not more minutes than those guys. So I think Tatum is definitely an interesting GPP play. Jaylen Brown's too in close to Tatum for me to want to go to Brown. Smart, no thank you. If Smart's in, I'm probably not going to play anyone else. If Smart is out, I want to actually take a look at that rotation last game. I did not. They don't have the 21st up. So we saw Peyton Pritchard move into the starting lineup. And this is what I told everyone in the Discord. I was in other Discords and everyone was creaming, absolutely creaming over Peyton Pritchard starting. And I told everyone in my Discord, I said, no. No, 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 no. Peyton Pritchard's a terrible defender. They have Brogdon. They have White. His minutes are not secure. I don't like him. So if Pritchard starts, he's playable, but just know he's a terrible defender. He can get played off the court. Extremely risky there. The guy that I would like more would be Derek White at 4.1K, who I think will play mid-20s minutes, but once again, not a priority. He would just be like a fine value on a 14-game slate. Brogdon had a big game with no Smart. He'll probably play around 30 minutes. I don't hate it, but I think he's appropriately priced as well. So not much on the Boston side of things. Let's go over Toronto now. And I know what you guys are all ready for. I know you are. Cleveland last in pace, first in defensive rating. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. So you guys should all play Pascal Siakam at 10.5K in the worst matchup in the league. Terrible matchup here. Terrible matchup here. Absolutely breaks the slate. I play him in good matchups. 30 fantasy points. 30 fantasy points. 40 fantasy points. Listen, guys, if you want to ride the Siakam hot streak, be my guest. He's not going to be in my lineups. You should play him. Not much here for me. I don't think I'll be playing on anyone on Toronto tomorrow. And not much on Cleveland either. Tough spot here. Toronto, 25th in pace. 15th in defensive rating. So Mitchell, Garland. I am intrigued by Garland at 7.8K. I do prefer him to Mitchell, but two teams play slow. Two teams will play good defense. Just not a spot I want to target. I will say Kevin Love, I've been preaching this every day that when he gets minutes, he's finally going to smash. It finally happened. I'm intrigued here for GPPs. 24 minutes in this game, 29 minutes in this game. Now you possibly have Evan Mobley out. If Evan Mobley is out, I am very, very intrigued by Kevin Love for GPPs. Phenomenal point per minute guy, and if the minutes are there, like, if I knew Kevin Love was going to play 30 minutes tomorrow, he would be the best play on the slate, and it wouldn't even be close. So that's what I will say about Kevin Love. I do feel more comfortable with him if Evan Mobley is in fact out. So definitely, definitely some interest in Kevin Love. I think he's my favorite play on Cleveland. So Chicago at New York. We saw these two teams play, I feel like, a million times by now, but have to go over it anyways. The New York Knicks are 18th in pace, and they are, I feel like they're so much better than ninth in defensive rating. So no real standouts here. DeMar, Levine, Vooch, they're all fine, eat into each other's usage. Not going to go to any of the value. I will say with Caruso out, you're probably going to get huge minutes for Ayo DeSumo. I think you're probably going to get close to 40 minutes here for him, especially if Dragic is out. So I think he's firmly in play just because the minute ceiling. He's not going to be productive when he's out there, but if a guy's going to play 40 minutes, he's definitely firmly in play for GPPs. I would expect him to play high 30s minutes if Dragic is out. Someone asked me, I think it was on Reddit, not to play AO, and I was like, Dragic is out. They're going to give AO a ton of run, and they gave him a ton of run. Now you have Caruso out. I want to say he got injured during that game too. So AO is definitely in play. Kobe definitely in play, especially if Dragic is out. Minutes wise for him, I feel like they want to give Ayo more minutes, but I think Kobe's going to have a solid role off the bench. I think he's perfectly fine for value too. So my favorite play is definitely being the value on on the Bulls. So yeah, Chicago 10th in pace, 14th in defensive rating. So yeah, Randall at 9.7 seems priced appropriately to me. The good thing with Dibs, though, is he's running that old rotation from last year where he's just running his starters into the ground. So based off that, Randall, Brunson, RJ, they're all in play. I think Brunson, once again, is going to be my favorite. I just think he has a pretty high floor and a high ceiling. He's the cheapest of the bunch outside of RJ. Shot 3 of 14, still went for basically 30 fantasy points. So I think Brunson's a solid play. I think RJ is fine. Did he play 46 minutes in regulation? Or was that overtime? That was in regulation. Okay. Well, RJ Barrett's not leaving the court. So at 6.8K, solid matchup. I like him. Assuming he gets similar run. Mitch, you guys know the drill. Always in foul trouble. Does have a ceiling. Just fine. Don't love it. We saw Grimes out. He's doubtful. I don't expect him to play. So if Quickly draws up the start, I expect him to play mid 30s minutes. He would be a pretty good value play at 4.9K. So definitely, I think I'm more high on the Knicks tomorrow than a lot of the industry is going to be. They're just running such a tight rotation, and I feel like the field has not even realized it. So I feel like I'm going to be higher on the Knicks tomorrow than most of the general public. So yeah, good spot here for Detroit. Atlanta's 7th in pace, 17th in defensive rating. So not much here. I will say Jaden Ivey's minutes are trending up. Obviously, Cade's out for the year. So if we're going to continue to get mid-30s minutes from Jaden Ivey at 5.3K, I think it's a solid tournament play. He's a guy with no Cade that's going to, be the clear number 2 on offense. I can't believe Bojan's clear number 1 right now, but clear number 2. Floor is low, but he can dish out assists. Like, he's not going to continue to only get 1 assist, but he's not going to continue to get like 5 to 6. I think he's going to sit in that like 3 to 4 mid range. He's not a terrible rebounder either, so I think the floor is like mid, but the ceiling is definitely there. So I think Ivy's a good GPP play. Jalen Duren is a tough matchup against Clint Capella. Not really much interest there. Would have some interest if Clint Capella's out, and then not much there for me on Detroit. Mainly just Ivy for me. Really, really good spot here for Atlanta. Detroit, just one of the worst defensive teams in the league. 16th in pace, 29th in defensive rating. So I think Trey Murray are interesting GPP plays. They definitely have a ceiling in this matchup. They're probably not going to get into my one lineup. Like I said, I think spend ups look a little bit better. Other spend ups. So in play for GPPs. Bog, no thank you. Okongwu would only consider if Capella is out. Finally had a big game. So some interest in a Okongwu if Capella's out. And then I don't believe I'll be going to anyone else. I want to say Collins started at the 5 in this game, and then a Okongwu started in this game, and Collins is on a limit. So, I mean, if we're going to get 40 minutes from a Okongwu in a phenomenal matchup against Detroit, I do like him, but I don't know if we're going to get 40 minutes again. I want to see if that game went into OT or... I feel like it didn't, but we'll check it anyway. It did not, so... Yeah, I mean, if we get that run again from him, yeah, looks good. Milwaukee at Brooklyn. The Brooklyn Nets 22nd in pace, and let's go 13th in defensive rating. I love Giannis Smart. I think in primetime spots like this for him, he just absolutely takes over. I expect his minutes to go up. He played 40 minutes here, I believe, in regulation. I'm expecting, high 30s minutes here. He absolutely destroys Brooklyn every time he plays them. Look, he's averaging 74 a game against them. So I think Giannis makes for one of the best spend-ups on the slate. I love him tomorrow. Middleton's doubtful. Drew Holiday will definitely benefit from that, but at this price tag, I think he's just there. He's appropriately priced. Definitely not out of play for me, but fine if I land on him as the last man in, and then not going to be getting to anyone else. And then on Brooklyn, I'm just going to tell you guys straight up. Brooklyn's kind of a cross-off for me in a tough matchup, so really no interest in anyone there, especially with Kyrie back. I think KD's fine, Kyrie's fine. They're always playable, but really no standouts there for me on the Brooklyn side. Tough matchup here for Indiana. Miami, they play slow, 28th in pace. They play good defense. They are 8th in defensive rating. So big news here is Tyrese Halliburton is questionable. If he is in, I have no interest in this team. I will be fully fading them. If he is out, we're going to have to monitor what they do with the starting lineup. Do they slide Nembhard back to the point where he absolutely destroyed with no Halliburton? Or do they start TJ McConnell at the 1? If TJ McConnell starts at the 1, he is going to be the best value play on the slate at the flatman. He would look absolutely phenomenal. If they slide Nembhard to the 1, absolutely love him. Even at the 2, if Halliburton's out, I think he's still a pretty good value. And then you're probably, especially if Neesmith's out. Like if Neesmith and Halliburton's out, you're going to see probably, yeah, I would assume TJ at the 1, Nembhard at the 2. I think that would make the most sense. Both would look really good, but TJ would be the priority. Would absolutely love TJ McConnell. So I'm going to have to keep an eye on that Tyrese Halliburton news. That is going to change the entirety of this slate. Good matchup here for Miami. Pacers, 6th in pace. 20th in defensive rating. So we do have Butler, I believe, probable. So in a good matchup, I think Butler's firmly in play. I don't think anyone's going to be playing him. I think this is a matchup where he could absolutely go for like a 30-point triple-double. So I think Butler looks good. Harrell, Bam, I think are appropriately priced now with Butler back. Same with Kyle Lowry. Oladipo is going to lose minutes with Lowry back, so not really interested there in that price tag. So let's move on to the Pelicans, and I think this is going to be a good one for DFS. Good matchup here for the Pelicans. Oklahoma City's 4th in pace. I'm going to try and speed this up, guys. This is taking forever. I know I wanted to keep this under 20 minutes. I feel like I've already been going for 30. Screw the matchups, but I don't think Zion plays. He's in health and safety protocols, and when people have been getting sick, they've been out for at least 3 days. So we're gonna assume Zion's out. Ingram's gonna be out, and Nance we don't know. So we'll go over it both ways with Nance in or out. So CJ McCollum looks absolutely phenomenal tomorrow at 8.3K. I don't know what Draftkings is doing. They should have upped his price. It's a good matchup against Oklahoma City Thunder. Not individually. He'll probably get Lou Dort, which is not a good matchup, but he still looks phenomenal. Switches happen. Dort's not going to be on him 100% of the time. So love CJ with those two out. I still really like Jonas Valanciunas. Got in a massive foul trouble tonight, but now you have him in a spot against Oklahoma City. I'm hoping that his ownership isn't too inflated. I hope the people that played him tonight don't go back tomorrow. So, love JV. If Nance is in, you can definitely get away from him, but I think he's a really good play regardless. And then the value Herb, Trey Murphy, Najee, Alvarado, I think are all good value plays. If I had to rank them, Murphy 1, I still like Najee over Herb. Herb is not a good point per minute guy, but with those guys out, definitely does get a boost. Najee is definitely the better point per minute guy. I want to see what they ended with minutes wise. Um, but with like all the value, like Herb, Najee, Trey, Jose Alvarado would all look like good values to me. Herb played the most, so he's definitely the safest. I still prefer Trey to Herb, but if you want to go safely, it's Trey, Herb, Najee, Alvarado. If you want to go by ceiling, for me, it's Trey, Najee, Alvarado, Herb. So do what you want with that info, but a lot to like with the Pelicans tomorrow, assuming those guys are out. All right, so not the best spot here for OKC. Not a good spot for SGA. Probably going to have to deal with, tough matchups, Jose, etc. So at this price tag, I think it's just a tournament dart for me, but he's matchup proof. Ceiling is absolutely immense. So some interest in SGA, but not a must. And then I can't get to anyone else. You couldn't pay me to play Oklahoma City Thunder value on a 14 game slate. So just going to cross those guys off. So Dallas at Houston, phenomenal spot here for Luka. I think he looks like him and Giannis look the same to me. I think both look absolutely phenomenal. I think this game has much higher chance of blowing out. So if you want to make that your deciding factor, I think that could be a good idea. But if this game stays close, with how bad Houston's been against guards, Luka could literally go for 573 fantasy points tomorrow. So love Luka tomorrow. Christian Wood didn't play as many minutes as I thought he would with Dwight Powell back. That's a little bit concerning. I don't know why they're playing Dwight Powell that much, but Wood is a terrible defender, so that's concerning. He can always get driven off the court. If I knew Christian Wood was going to play 35 plus minutes in this matchup, I would think he's a really good play. But with Dwight Powell back, always concerned with the minutes. And then no value here for me on the Dallas side. On the Houston side, not much. I think there is a value play that stands out to me. Like Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, they've been so bad of late, and I've played them so much, and they've just killed me. No interest really. Sengun, no interest. Actually, I take that back. Played 32 minutes last game. Wood is a terrible defender, so we could just eat here. So some interest in Sengun, but I think Jabari is always a solid play. Minutes have gone up. Gotten a massive foul trouble here. Good rebounder. I think he plays mid-30s minutes. 5.2K does seem too cheap for Jabari. And the value play with Eric Gordon now, I think KJ Martin's probably going to move into the starting lineup. And if that's the case, he makes for a really good value play, in my opinion. He's a guy that can do it all. Good rebounder. Can get defensive stats. Like me some KJ Martin, if assuming he starts. So maybe he can't get too many defensive stats. I'm not too familiar with KJ Martin. I just know he's a good point per minute guy. But assuming he starts, definitely do like KJ Martin quite a bit. Tough spot here for Portland. Dame at 10K. I mean, he's been good against this team. I think with the ceiling, he's always in play for me, but more of a tournament option for me. And I'm not getting to anyone else. There's just no way. A lot of these teams are cross-offs for me. Nurkic not playing enough. Josh Hart at this price tag, I think he's still a little bit too pricey. And then the value, can't do it. Denver, Jokic up there for me in spend ups. I do prefer Giannis and I do prefer Luka over him. We have Jamal Murray questionable. If he is out, that's going to be a boost to guys like, we have MPJ back. I didn't even see that. Interesting. So with if Murray is out, it's going to be a boost to guys like MPJ, Bruce Brown. Bones Highland has basically been out of the rotation. Basically, I don't understand what they're doing here. So, kind of hesitant to go there. But if Murray's out, you can definitely consider it. They're not going to start Braun anymore with MPJ back. We'll see. So yeah, I think it's just Jokic for me at the top. Tough matchup here for Memphis. Same thing. I think Ja's appropriately priced specifically for this matchup. But in play for GPP, there's not a lot on this slate that really stands out to me. And then we have possibly Desmond Bane coming back. That's gonna hurt Ja. That's gonna hurt Jaren. That's gonna hurt Brooks. So yeah, not much on the Memphis side. Phoenix, we do have Booker out. Now we can finally get into some things. I think Chris Paul looks good at 8.3K. Just his usage rate with no Devin Booker is going to skyrocket. He just needs to shoot the ball a lot better. So I think Paul looks good. I think Ayton's in play for GPPs. I don't think they moved up his price enough. So I think Ayton's definitely interesting. Bridges, you guys know the drill. Going to play huge minutes. More out there for defense. Playable. And then the first game, it was the Damian Lee massive game. And then the next game, he barely plays. The next game, Landry Shamet plays more minutes. So honestly, I'm not even going to mess with it. I think playing that Suns value is just disgusting on a 14-game slate. And this game looks great. Washington at Sacramento, so we have Porzingis out. I don't know if he's going to be playing tomorrow. I'm going to assume he doesn't play since it's an illness and he's been battling it for some time. Denny, we don't know if he's going to be playing either. If both are in, I think I'm just crossing off Washington. But if both are out again, Kuzma, Beal, get a usage bump. I really like Beal here. If Porzingis is out in this spot against Sacramento, I think this is just a spot where he could absolutely erupt. So love Beal if Porzingis is out. Kuzma gets a boost. And then I'm going to go right back to Gafford. I don't care what he did to me tonight. Really good point per minute guy that's going to pick up the start. Probably play close to 30 minutes. It's a good matchup. I'm going to go right back. I think he would look quite good to me. And then not going to go to anyone else. Sacramento, good matchup here. If you want to ride the Sabonis hot streak, be my guest. Playing huge minutes, triple-double upside. I mean, look at these rebounds. 21, 23, 20. Especially if Porzingis is out. He's just going to absolutely dominate here. So, some interest in Sabonis. Fox has been god awful. I don't know what to make of him. I really don't. I think he's just a GPP only play for me. And I'm not touching Sacramento value. Last game here, guys. Game of the night. I think LaMelo Ball, even at 9.8K, looks good. Lakers, terrible against guards. Going to play huge minutes. Really like LaMelo, even at that price tag. Terry Rozier's questionable. If he's out, that's going to be, boost to guys like Oubre, Hayward. They would be in play, but don't love it. I think it's really, for me, just LaMelo Ball at the top. I don't think I can get to Nick Richards on a 14-game slate. But on the Lakers side, so LeBron, I think, makes for one of the best spend-ups in a phenomenal matchup against Charlotte. Love him. Westbrook expected to be back. I think he's in play. Thomas Bryant, even at 6.1K, I still like. I think it's a great spot for him. He'll play around 30 minutes, assuming the game stays close, maybe a little bit more. I still think he's too cheap given the matchup. So I do like Thomas Bryant still. Lonnie Schroeder, I think, are appropriately priced. And then with Russ back, I'm not going to get to Patrick Beverley. So hope this helped you guys out, and I'll talk to y'all tomorrow.